What if Christmas Eve isn't just about candles, carols, and nostalgia, but about God stepping fully into the messiness of the real world? Consider this as you listen to this episode of Your Week with St. Luke's, your weekly podcast from St. Luke United Methodist Church in Orlando that invites you to go deeper with Scripture, to learn God's story, so that together we can live, love, and lead a life following Jesus to awaken disciples and reveal the kingdom. As Christmas draws near, Pastors Jen, Jad, and Melissa reflect on what we think we know about this holy night and invite us to look again. In this episode, they explore the deep, incarnational meaning of Christmas, where hope is born not in perfection, but in dust, blood, and the promise of God with us.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Your Week with St. Luke's. You have all of your pastors here today, Pastor Jad, Pastor Jen, and I am Pastor Melissa, and we are here. It is almost here, friends. It is so close. It is just around the corner.
And if you're with St. Luke's, it's even closer than for everyone else.
That's right. One day.
Get a head start.
On the 23rd.
In case you were wondering, in case you were not aware of what is going on in our world and our church, Christmas Eve is right around the corner. And so that is what we are here to talk about today, is that classic moment, that annual holiday, that place that we have memories from childhood and from Christmas movies and all of those pictures of candles and carols and all of that. So, but I guess let's back up, and what is it that Christmas Eve is really all about?
Right.
I mean, that's the question, right? You got to come on Christmas and Eve to figure that one out.
Yes, where we're going to be listening to Charlie and Linus talk. Did you know it's the 60th anniversary of the Charlie Brown Christmas special?
I know that because it's on your door.
I know, and it's also on it's the windows at FAO Schwartz in New York City for Christmas. So
nice.
So, but let's go to the texts, because we started Advent 1, with actually reading the text from Isaiah to kind of, begin with the end in mind in order to have hope. And so from Isaiah 9, 2-7, we hear, "The people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. Those who lived in a land of deep darkness, on them light has shined. You have multiplied the nation. You have increased its joy. They rejoice before you as with joy at the harvest, as people exult when dividing plunder. For the yoke of their burden and the bar across their shoulders and the rod of the oppressors you have broken, as on the day of Midian. For all the boots of the tramping warriors and all the garments rolled in blood shall be burned as fuel for the fire. For a child has been born for us, a son given to us. Authority rests upon his shoulders, and he is named Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. His authority shall grow continually, and there shall be endless peace for the throne of David and his kingdom. He will establish and uphold it with justice and with righteousness from this time onward and forevermore. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will do this." So let's start with this text, and then we'll move to Luke 2.
Nice.
We started with this text for Advent too.
I know. So what do you think about that? Now that we've read it once, what does it mean to you as you come into it this time, right before? Did it give you hope? Did it help you hope for? Did it set you on course as we hoped it would? So for me, I will say this. Let me say this. I did get to go to New York for my birthday, which was phenomenal. And I spent all day doing Christmas stuff, which was amazing. But I saw this version. It was funny. It was the Sunday after I preached on A Christmas Carol. I got to see a whole new version with music of the Christmas Carol. And it was beautiful because it was the telling of the story was very similar and the same, but they used hymns in the midst of it with the storytellers. And there was this beautiful part where the spirit of Christmas present comes and shows him the poverty and shows him all the people who he didn't give money to at the very beginning. And as they're doing it, as they're having this conversation, the two of them, the choral people are singing "In the Bleak Midwinter." And it was the most, we were in tears, but "In the bleak midwinter, pour a snow, what shall I give him as poor as I am?" and it did something to me. It was that recognition of the hope that this stands for, and all the things that the prophet was speaking about really does come through us. We're the people that allow the bleak midwinter to stop for people.
Well, and I remember a couple years ago when we preached on Advent on the Christmas Carol, and Jen, you're much more of a Dickensian scholar. But doesn't that ghost lift up his gown, and there are two
Yes.
children clinging to his legs,
Mm-hmm.
and those children are,
Oh my gosh. Want,
yeah,
and the other one is about looking away.
yeah.
I have to look it up because it's not
So
gonna.
while you look it up, I just think that's that was such a powerful image for me, especially when we did a deep dive to preach on it. I think you and I were preaching that Sunday.
Yeah.
And then to hear how the creators of this musical version decided to infuse in
Mm-hmm.
the bleak
It was
midwinter
ignorance and want.
ignorance,
And
and what?
ignorance meaning we turn away from it so
Right.
that we don't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what this one, particular, the way she did it. It was a woman. There was three women that played the ghosts, and it was less leaning into that the ghost was a brother of Christ, which is what's in the book, and more of let me show you the poverty and just look around your world, and so that he couldn't be ignorant anymore.
Right.
And that he couldn't look away.
Yeah.
And there is something powerful about this text is stop looking away.
Mhm.
Stop being involved in the war, because the clothes of the warriors are going to be burned, and they're going to be fuel for the fire that's going to be the light that comes, for the peace that comes. It's going to be, don't look away, because the want is going to be taken care of, because for unto us a child is born. It was just really interesting.
Well, and
Yeah.
this is a season where we hear the word peace, right? You see peace on earth, and you see it in even, cultural spaces that are not Christian. And I think the first thought in this season, because of, where, culture is and what we see and all of that, is this like fuzzy, warm and fuzzy peace. And that's not at all what peace on earth, right? Peace in this context is coming straight out of what Isaiah is talking about, of actual peace, like ending of war, reconciliation of people, redemption and repair and reconciliation, and all of those things, that kind of peace. And I don't think that's the first place we go often. And so it's good to ground ourselves where all of this even comes from.
Yeah, and the text causes us, and what incarnate causes us to do, is to encounter the reality of the world we live in, right? And not be in denial of it. When so much of what the holiday season is a distraction and an avoidance of, which is again the power of that song being sung when that conversation is happening, the power of those two children, those symbols of want and ignorance that we want to avoid. But incarnation, Christmas should cause us to see it. To see it.
So with all of these different titles that are given for the child has been born for us, a son given to us, authority rests on his shoulder, and which again we just had the Christmas concerts.
Yeah. Authority
saying
translated.
this, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and I just really sat with that.
Yeah.
And went, wow, the government, the authority shall be on his shoulders. And the titles are Wonderful Counselor, Prince of Peace, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, right?
Yeah.
They're if authority is resting on your shoulder, you would think it would be, and he will be leader extraordinary,
Brilliant strategist.
and mighty,
Yeah.
But it's none of those words. So what would it mean for authority or government? And I mean government of the kingdom of God, to rest on someone's shoulders who the first title is Wonderful Counselor? I stumped you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going because it's interesting because it's almost counter to what I said a moment ago, where it starts of there is a warm and fuzzy there of someone who is there for you and listens and is, what we think of as a counselor today, but there's also an element of wisdom. So
Yeah.
there's an element of someone who can not only be there for you, but can offer advice and can offer guidance. And so it does feel a little bit more personal when we start there. But what if we again see that within this broader concept of peace, this broader concept of the kingdom? Then what does it mean for there to be a counselor to the world, to that starts to get out of the realm of where we normally think of those
Mm-hmm.
words too.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting. There's a commentary that says this. Listen, the king celebrated in Isaiah's vision has not arrived as a savior from afar, swooping in and rescuing people from slavery. This Messiah has been a leader of warriors, overcoming the strength of the oppressors with the sword. The king mounts his throne, stepping over the bodies of those from both sides, sacrificed for his victory. And so it's this wonderful counselor of like, I've been leading us through this. It's a very kingdom, empire, war, and we do think it is soft. And yet, when you think about who is leading you through these difficult times, it's you want a general, you want a king who is a counselor, who is a guider, who is all these things.
Yeah.
And is wise and is leading from a deeper wisdom, knowledge, not just from might and
Yeah.
So this guy goes on to say, excuse me, it's Linda Lee Clater. Sorry, it's not a guy. This passage from Isaiah challenges us to push a few inches beyond the comfortable picture of the nativity tableau. The child whose birth we attend tonight was born into a world painted not in pastels, but in dust and blood. This incarnation is not a spiritual, otherworldly concept, but the mystery of a God present in a real human child, welcomed into a real world with all of its agonies and ambiguities and challenges and joys.
Yes. Yeah, and see that's a lot of what our Christmas Eve and Preve has always been about. It's what Christians is about, but especially this year, I think. All of the dust and blood, all of the reality, and not so much of the magic and dust of whatever. But
pixie dust.
that's what I was thinking of. Y'all, it's been a rough day. That real grounded in flesh divinity that the first Christians had a hard time right. They argued over, but the reality of what that means for I like that in the dirt and blood. Was that what she said? That's
Dust and blood. Yeah.
dust and blood. Yeah. It's very real and visceral. And that's really how those stories depict the birth of Jesus, right?
Right.
It's other than the Magi, the angels sing glory to the shepherds. But other than the Magi, it's this very on the ground, dirty, average, magical, mystical thing, right? It's got that juxtaposition of all of that are in the midst of it.
Well, and what does it mean to you all let's just talk about the incarnation. What does it mean that God came in the midst of the dust and in the midst of the blood of the world and the agony and the challenge of the world? What does that mean for you and your understanding of theology, recognizing that theology is the work of the people? And what does it mean to talk about God? And so, I know, Melissa, you are very incarnational theologian, I would say, right? What does that mean to you? And why? Why do you start with the incarnation more than anything else?
I think, y'all, many of y'all have heard me say before that I think incarnational is my atonement theory, is that God has reconciled with humanity in the incarnation, that
Right.
everything else is bonus. It's part of the story. It's not unrelated, but this is really, if there is a single moment, this is the moment for me, is for God to be among us, to be with us. Even if it had just been God coming down to earth, that would have been powerful. But to come to earth as a human, to come to earth with the fullness of humanity, because again, God can do anything. God could have come as a fully grown person, and God said, "No, I'm going to have the whole experience." And there's so many theologies that focus on predestination and control and things like that, and it becomes problematic because we don't want God as, puppet master. And I just think this picture is God proving out that I created you not as my playthings. I created you for full life and for love, and for experiencing all that this world that I also created has to offer. And I think God proves that in this moment of what God's intention at creation was. And then for all of the ways that humanity had turned away, had not understood, didn't get it, got it wrong in all of the story before, this is God making all of that right. Any separation there might have been before this, it's done now, just by God being born as a human. So this is it for me. This is the moment.
The more and more I've sat in the space, I agree with you, and I agree that it is a theory of the atonement. Because God did this, then the only way for it to play out, I think, is that he dies and is
Yep.
resurrected again, because he's surrendering himself to humanity,
Mm-hmm.
and our humanity with free will always leads to wanting power, wanting, and so therefore love conquers it by giving itself
Mm-hmm.
to whatever humanity does with such a gift. And what we usually do with such gifts like this is to
Yeah.
silence it.
Well,
So yeah, I
and
think more and more you're right in that respect. I agree with
and
that. It
jump
starts
ahead
here.
to the cross. You've
Right.
got Jesus between two thieves, and what does he say? You will be with me, right? It's a
Mhm.
continual story that is continued of, I'm not deserting you. We see that in so many different frameworks of that story of him on the cross with thieves, but um for him to continue, an incarnational framework of, when I go somewhere else, you're going to be there with me, right? Wherever I'm going, you're going. And
Yep.
there's a parallel there that I don't think we often connect, because we're focused on resurrection at that point. But that continual, I'm going to be with you, I'm going to walk with you, I'm going to be present among you, I'm going to do the things that you do, all the way to the end.
Well,
Yeah.
it's interesting. Go ahead, Jan.
I was gonna say that for me is the why I lean towards atone. I don't like atonement theories, but incarnation in itself, that God chooses nearness over distance. God chooses intimacy over oppression and dominance. Right? God steps in with us and is present with us through it all. So
Well, what I was going to say is, if you read Luke 2, it's very much about incarnational presence, because it's
yeah.
in in those days a decree went out, and it's got a time, it's got a place, it's got
Mm-hmm.
who is in charge, it's got an action that they're taking, and all these things in which, like, all the ways in which the world has set up that this mother and father have to come, and the baby will be born because of this,
Mm-hmm.
or you know what I'm saying, the baby will be born in the situational aspect of going to get taxed, to be taxed, and to write their names down. And what's interesting is, even in that, God still comes,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
Even in the midst of all the prescription that the world puts on it, God still comes. And even when there's no room for God,
Mm-hmm.
God is still present,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
still is born and placed in a manger. And God's like, okay, I'll be just adjacent to you.
Yep. Yep. Not coerced, not forced, but present.
Right.
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 there.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and again, I'm making all the parallels, but the story of the Ark of the Covenant in the Old
Mhm.
Testament is there's all of these instructions for the box they need to build essentially, and God says you're going to put your scripture in here, you're going to put all of this in here, and I'll be just outside of it.
Right.
I will sit right on top of it. I need you, you're going to need to build a box because you need some container to even begin to understand me. But I'm going to be just outside of that.
Hmm.
And I think that's also where with Jesus that we believe he is both human and divine, because he could have just also come as human or just as
Or just
divine.
them. Yeah.
But the idea of the both and there, it's that I'm with you and I'm still me.
Well, and what does it say too? Like, build the box and that's where we're going to keep the order and all that kind of stuff. There is an inn and they were going to the box to find the natural safety, the brave, safe space to go and to have this baby, but there was no room. I mean, what does that say to us about the church? I mean, isn't that a very telling message for the church of you cannot stay in your boxes if you want to be with Jesus. You have to be just outside.
Yep.
You were just outside.
Yeah.
Not even far away, just outside.
Yep. There's a cross on
With all the
nearby
other
that
people. Yeah,
Right.
right. Across just outside the church. With all the
uh-huh.
other people for whom we haven't made room for.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's where Jesus is going to show up. It's okay if you want to be in the space that there has been room made for, but if you want
And
to
we
show
can
up where
worship
Jesus is,
Jesus. Right. We
uh-huh.
can worship Jesus in that
Yep.
room. But also Jesus is also going to be born in the
Mm-hmm.
places right outside with the people who
Yep.
don't have space.
Both and Jesus is in there
Right.
and out there.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah.
Mhm.
And then that what it can for me the power the other powerful thing about incarnational ministry, it compels us, our theologies, it compels us to have incarnational ministry,
Right.
to be present with people, to be
Right.
Mm-hmm.
there with them through the good times and the bad times, and not just run away when it's not so easy.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
So
right. And to recognize that incarnational ministry means sometimes the hard, anguishing, being in the anguishing spaces of the ends of war. And
Yeah.
right,
yeah.
right. And war can be war with guns. And what does it mean to rebuild? And war can be in the warring places of people's hearts and families. Um, yeah, it's really a totally different take than I think we assumed we were going to start with here on
I
this.
was saying this is exactly what we're going to do on Christmas Preve and Eve. It's kind of adjacent, also.
Yes, it is. It is. It is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's going to be a powerful, powerful 2 evenings, right? Of gathering and singing and telling the story and lighting candles and remembering what all that means for us.
Right. And how do we make room to, you know, it, when we think sometimes about incarnational ministry, it becomes, okay, well, what am I going to do? But it's really about making room for Christ to grow up inside of us.
Yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
it.
And that's how we become incarnational people, is Christ growing in us, more so than anything we do on our own, right?
Right.
We can't be incarnational without Christ being at the center of who we are.
No,
Mm-hmm.
no. It's like Weatherhead says about beloved. Insofar you can only claim it in others insofar as you can claim it in yourself, and so you have to. Um, yeah, that's again both and
Right,
for sure.
right. I've been thinking a lot about, um, as I'm thinking about the sermon and thinking about what we're going to preach on, the whole idea. I think I've said it before. I've said a lot of things in the last 18 years here. This is 18 years in the same place telling the same story. But like, what does it mean to be born again? Like, I don't like the born again language for like salvation and stuff, but what does it mean to be born again at Christmas?
Mm-hmm.
And to let the baby literally grow up together,
Yeah.
and be toddlers together and be young people together. And what does that mean to be shaped and formed through the seasons of the Christian year alongside a Jesus who is being growing and shaping and forming and understanding his identity and understanding his call, and is faith and our growth in faith the same way? Is it Is it understanding how to learn how to, again, sometimes we need to relearn and retool and learn to eat different kinds of food, as Paul talks about.
Yeah. Grow up. And there's a sanctifying grace aspect to that, right?
Yeah, right.
Growth and growing. And so it's going to be great. It's going to be great. Yeah.
All right, Melissa, you got anything to add for us?
I think we said all there could possibly be to be said about Incarnation until next year.
Yeah.
Right.
Tuesday, 6 p.m., 7 p.m., right? On Preve, the 23rd.
Those are not the times.
Oh. 6 and 7:30?
6
I
and
think it's 6 and
7:30.
7:30.
There you go.
Those around. I must be dyslexic or something.
6 and 7:30, and then there's a whole bunch on Christmas Eve. So check it out, and
Yep.
we'd love to see you there. And we'd also love for you to serve, because we have places that we need for you to serve as worship hosts and communion servers. And so please check out our website and sign up to help us as we welcome our community on this special night, and we become people of the Incarnation.
Yeah. Happy Advent one last time, everybody.
Bye. See you next week.